Okay, what's your name?
Demi.
What is it?
Demi.
Okay, Demi is going to introduce the podcast. So, Demi, say welcome to Amateur Hour.
Welcome, manager. What?
Welcome to Amateur Hour.
Oh. Welcome to Amateur Hour.
Check, baby! Come here! Let's go, give me a flipper!
All right. Welcome to episode 82-ish of Amateur.
83.
83.
82 was last time.
Last time. It's been so long. It's been like 2 weeks.
Been 2 whole weeks.
So welcome to the show. Usually we start off with flag football stuff, but I thought today, since we actually have kind of a nationwide story in our area, we would start off talking about the Port Neches Groves Indians. The school.
Yes.
Not the Indians who live there. not those people. The school that has the mascot that's the Indian, and they call themselves the Indians. And sometimes the Rockanoos if you're in a different sport.
Yes, if you play girls volleyball,
Yeah.
you're a Rockanoo.
So this is not addressing the Rockanoos. This is only the Indians and Indian Nets.
Okay.
I thought, I watched the story on local news, and I thought a lot of people were arguing and talking about it in the way of who's right and who's wrong, and who has more of a justification for doing what they're doing. Well, I think what's missed in all that is why you feel the way you feel about the topic, because I've read a book recently, or I listened to it. I read it last year, called The Righteous Mind, where it's about moral psychology. And the guy has 6 moral foundation principles that he talks about, and it's all neuroscience. It's like he gets down to chemicals and stuff, but basically people have these 6 things that trigger their emotions and make them feel a certain way about things. And one of his big things is that intuitions come first, and then reasoning and your arguments for that. So if I say, if you're a big Cowboys fan, and I say, man, Cowboys are going to do terrible this year, your intuition automatically says, no, they're not. And then you have to come up with reasons to support your decision. So it's not like the other way around where you think about, are the Cowboys going to do terrible this year? It jumps out of your mouth, no, they're not, and then you do this. So I think if I can explain this in a way that will make people feel a little bit more comfortable with why they feel the way they feel and why the other side feels the way it feels. And when I'm talking about this, when I talk about Port Neches people or people that support the Indian logo, I am strictly talking about the people who have a stake in Port Neches High School or in Port Neches, Texas, who either live there, went to school there, who actually have a reason to have a connection.
Don't leave out Groves.
Groves,
Keep
I'm sorry,
leaving out
Groves. I did not mean to leave
upset
out
all those
Groves.
Groves Braves.
I didn't mean to leave out the Groves Braves. You're all very brave. We love you. But I'm talking about the people who live there and actually have a stake in it. And when I'm talking about the Native Americans or the Indians, and I'm sorry if someone gets offended by a term I use, I'm not intending on that. But I don't, I'm just going to say either Indians or Native Americans. Take it for what you want. So when I talk about them, I'm talking about people who are actually Native Americans, who are actually Indians, not people who jump in on whatever side. So I'm just talking about these 2 groups of people. All right. Are you ready?
Oh,
I have typed out papers.
Oh, I was ready before. I'm ready again. I'm still ready. I was as ready now as I was then.
So the first foundation in the moral foundation's psychological theory is care and harm.
This is the psychological test I took over the weekend from you.
It is very similar.
Okay.
So this thing is related to, how mammals evolved with attachment systems and the ability to feel and dislike the pain that others are having. So, if you had a brother or sister or whatever that got shot by a gun, you would be very concerned because you care about that person's pain or whatever. Well, some people, it only extends to their brother or sister, and other people, especially more liberal people, they get concerned about people's pain across the world. So it's on a spectrum. Now, you can have high, care and harm, low, whatever. So this is how I feel about that with these two groups of people. Poor Natchez alums see the current situation as very harmful to those, that's not very harmful to those that are offended by it, as evidenced by they received the Ambassadors of Goodwill certificate they got from the Cherokee Nation in 1980. You know, they got this thing in 1980 that said, hey, we're cool with what you're doing. So they're like, well, what harm is it? Because they didn't have a problem with the name or anything else. And therefore, no care or harm foundation is triggered in them. It doesn't rise to the level of concern. Now, on the other side, the people who are offended, they see the portrayal of someone who looks like them or are used as a sports mascot as kind of harmful. You know, they see it as diminishing them as a person with a heritage into some kind of cartoon novelty. So that's how they see it on that one. Comments on that part?
No, I see it from both sides. I can see them saying, the people that are supporting the Indian name, I can see them saying, hey, we're just honoring it. We're honoring the tradition. We're honoring the Indian name, even though you're not a specific Indian. You're just saying Indian. It's know. So it's but I understand that side. I also understand the other side of saying, well, look, you're making us look like a cartoon. This is just you're just a bunch of white people dancing around, looking like us. You don't have any Indians out there actually dancing around. I can see both sides of that argument.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm pretty. Yeah. I'm a politician.
I think you and I we don't really have much of a stake in all this. I'm not from there, and honestly, I'll be really forward or straight up with this. They could change the name of Vidor High School to the Vidor Ferries. I don't care.
I was going to use our school as an example. We'll get to that as I get talked about.
So the next foundation is fairness and cheating. Now, in liberal and conservative words, conservatives care a fair amount more about this than liberals do. You see that in, they feel like conservatives get a lot more upset about people cheating the welfare system, whereas liberals like the welfare system because of that care and harm thing. They go abundant on the care side. So fairness and cheating is, it's related to the evolutionary process of reciprocal altruism, which means if you do something good for me, it's only on me to do something good for you. That whole thing.
Giver's game.
Yeah, it generates ideas of justice, rights, and autonomy. So here's my thing with the situation on that. The Poor Natchez folk, they'll point to that certificate they got in 1980 and say, look, you told us we could use this. You sanctioned what we were doing. You said this is okay. And they think it's unfair to allow them to use that thing and build on traditions like for a 40-year time period, of actually using the logo. And they've been the Indians since 1925, so almost 100 years. And they think that it is unfair to all of a sudden revoke it so that they have to, do away with all this stuff they've built on. Now the people on the other side are going to say, well, it's unfair that they see unfairness in the way that their likeness and culture as a group could even be granted to a school that they don't attend, they don't really have a stake in, and a place that doesn't understand their culture and doesn't make an adequate attempt to actually educate their residents or students of the true and proper Indian cultures. They see the endorsement as one they can rightly revoke. Like, well, we gave you this permission. It's only fair that we get to revoke it. So I think that's how they see that in that way.
My thought on the certificate from a group saying that you're allowed to use this name, doesn't that tell you something? That you have to get written permission to use it? It means it's probably bordering on offensive to somebody, but we're allowing it, and we can revoke it at any time if we feel you're using it offensively.
Right. Well, there was an episode of South Park, of all things, where Randy, the dad on South Park, got in trouble for saying something he shouldn't have said that was a slur. Well, toward the end of the episode, he apologizes to Jesse Jackson by literally kissing his ass. And Stan, Randy's son, went to Tolkien, the little boy in school who was black. It's a whole other thing. He was like, "Are we cool now? My dad apologized to Jesse Jackson." And Tolkien said, "Jesse Jackson is not the emperor of black people." And Stan said, well, he told my dad he was. So, just because one person, so I see how that is.
Yeah.
But then again, I see the Poor Nature's side of it, Poor Nature's Groves, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Of seeing, well, I mean.
Somebody told us it was okay.
We tried to do this right.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one is loyalty and betrayal. It says this foundation is founded on a long history as tribal creatures able to form shifting coalitions. It underlies the virtues of patriotism, self-sacrifice for the group. It's active anytime people feel that it's all for one and one for all. So that gets triggered when, like think 9/11 and how America was right then.
Yeah.
It triggers this thing in you. No matter what you think, you kind of go to your team. So for this, have you ever heard of oxytocin?
Yes.
Okay, so oxytocin, for any of y'all don't know.
Good feelings that you
Yeah,
get.
it's a chemical in your brain that makes you more collaborative. It makes you better to work as a teammate. A smile from another person that's on your team, or like a friendly hug. Hey, Troy's smiling and winking right now. I'm feeling some oxytocin.
See, look at him. Look at you're getting off red now.
I am. But it makes us a better team player. Problem is, oxytocin only does that for our team. It actually makes us more averse to the other team. So that's why, when you have this nationalism stuff, people, get really sunk into their own little thing and demonize everything else on the other side. It's chemicals, So also when you feel attacked, you have other chemicals to release that trigger fight or flight. So you get very, not conservative in the political way, but very conservative in the way of, I'm on the lookout for attacks.
Yeah.
Kind of sensitive, I guess. So what half of this is, and pardon the pun, but all people are at some level tribal, to one extent or another.
Yes.
And if you look at flags and bumper stickers, you can kind of tell what tribe or group people are in. Poor Nature's people feel that their loyalty to their hometown and its traditions, and that those things that come under attack, no matter from whom or for what reason, that groupish switch gets flipped on and they band together. They see removing the logo and the name as a betrayal for their hometown and their school identity. Now, on the other hand, the Cherokee Nation feels a sense of loyalty to their group, so they see a lack of defending the culture and traditions as a betrayal of their long and interesting history. They might even feel betrayed by those who gave P&G the certificate in the first place. Nothing flips on somebody's moral switch like being betrayed by someone in your own in-group. Think about treason and how seriously we take that, or think about a player in a football game throwing the game, how hated that person's hated more than people on the team.
Or make it a more personal level of being in a relationship and being cheated on, or having something stolen from you by someone you care about, like a family member. That's what it relates to. Yeah. Right.
So it just makes you kind of. If you're a woman listening to this, one thing, I'm sorry, I'll try to do better, but if your husband or boyfriend or whatever cheats on you, and you go talk to your girlfriends, what do? They rally right around you, right? Everybody's, and no matter what that guy did, he could have been perfect up until then. We're going to make sure that we're kind of separating ourselves from that. So that's that loyalty and betrayal thing. Okay. The next one is authority and subversion. So, I don't really have to read the definition for this. You know that everybody grows up seeing someone as an authority figure. Most of the time it's your parents, but it's someone who you trust to, have your best interests in mind. And we carry that throughout adulthood. Now, some people see authority as a very strict thing of like, well, your boss tells you what to do, you need to do it. Some people are more on the other side of it and go, well, just because he says it, do I really have to do it? But authority is a principle, and everybody has it on some level. That's okay. You didn't.
I thought it was
doing a good job.
I thought the screen was going down.
So to me, this is a case where both groups are claiming ultimate authority for themselves and not recognizing any authority on the other group. At this point, P&G seems to claim ownership of the P&G Indian logo or moniker and believes that they can decide what they want to do with it, because after all, that's kind of their identity for at least 40 years. The Cherokee Nation, however, believes that because it represents the people and the culture that the thing represents, it's their ultimate authority of what is right and wrong regarding the betrayal of its people and traditions. After all, they're the people being represented by the depictions of Indians and Indian culture. Shouldn't they be the decider on what's right and appropriate with their own stuff? So I think that's where the disconnect is on that one. The authority, by the way, at Southeast Texas Flag Football League
Yes.
rests in the very secure hands of Walt Durham, who I wish he was here right now.
I would love to have Walt's opinion on this.
Well, I do have a text that he sent me that I'll read here in a
Okay.
little bit. So there's two more. The next one, to me, is the most important for this particular discussion. It's the sanctity degradation principle, and it's shaped by the psychology of disgust and contamination. It underlies all religious notions of striving to live in an elevated, less carnal, more noble way, and it underlies the widespread idea that the body's a temple and can be desecrated by immoral activities and contaminants. That gets expanded to symbols and stuff you see as sacred. So, most people at least see something sacred or untouchable, no matter how much of an atheist you are. You see something as like, well, we shouldn't disrespect this, you know. And so P&G doesn't see their use of the Native American headdress and dances as degrading to Indian traditions. They will once again point out that the Cherokee Nation acquiesced in 1980 to say that those things were okay and accepted, and even I think the certificate was the ambassadors of goodwill, like, okay. And I think at this point, since it's been a while, and that town has such town spirit, and they care so much
It's two
about
towns.
Sorry, that location or those locations have such a spirit surrounding their high school and everything else. You know, I think they see the Indian logo and the other stuff they do as a bit sacred. Am I totally wrong on that?
No, I 100% agree. Now, I'm sure there are people within those areas that also would say, no, let's change it too. It's racist or whatever.
Well, maybe so. I'm
But
the
I think
people
at a majority, we care about it. We're proud of it.
right.
We are representing it, but we're also it's a pride thing. We're not making fun of it. We're
Right.
using it as a source of pride, honor, tradition. They even have that on their stadium that they call the Reservation.
I'm going to get to that in a minute.
Okay.
But that's good.
Yeah.
Okay. So on the other side, the Cherokee Nation sees this like the opposite way. The Native American headdress and the dances are spiritual things set aside for special or holy people or occasions. They may ask, is that 17-year-old wearing a headdress, carrying a spear, and dancing a war dance, incorrectly we may add, a high priest? If we, the Cherokee Nation, dressed our drill team in complete Pope outfits, complete with papal hat, and had them throwing crackers and tiny juice boxes into the crowd of the football game, would that be okay? Even if the Cardinal gave us some kind of endorsing certificate 40 years ago, would that be all right? That may be their response to that. And like I said, I'm not trying to come down on one side of this or the other, but people hold those sacred things like very close to heart. I mean, you know, and it's easy to offend somebody when you talk about their religion. So, okay, last one. The guy just gave me a look.
He looked at me too.
Oh, he likes us. Okay,
He's ready to see the Houston Cougars play in the Sweet 16.
of the NIT?
No, they're in the
they're in the
NCAA.
tournament,
They're in
okay.
the full-on tournament.
The full-on
They're
tournament.
playing the Arizona Wildcats.
Thank you,
There's
man.
your to-go box.
Thank you. It's amateur hour, okay? Food gets delivered. I mean,
It does get delivered.
we get sidetracked on dudes looking at us.
Well,
I do.
well, you look at dudes first, and then they look at you.
Yeah. Okay, so the last one of these is the liberty oppression principle. And this one's pretty simple. P&G wants to be free to choose what they want. They feel a bit oppressed by some group who doesn't know them, attempting to limit their ability to their liberty, you know. They feel like these other people are just telling them what to do. They feel like they're bullies. And you stand up to a bully, right? They're part of the woke bully crowd. Well, now, the other side is going to say, because of our nation's history, which has, well, the Cherokee Nation would say, because of the United States' history, which has been kind of undeniably oppressive to Indians. I mean, I think we can safely say we weren't super sweet to them for a while. The Cherokee Nation.
Still an all-encompassing Indian. Still hasn't narrowed down to which Indian group.
Well,
they're just all of them.
I'm voicing this in the voice of someone that I don't know. So let me let me do this in the crappiest way possible.
Yeah.
The Cherokee Nation sees the now condemned usage of its people and culture as oppression and a complete trampling of their ability to retain what few things they have left of their proud past. Long ago, they were kicked off their land and forced to live in reservations. By the way, thanks for naming the field after what could have been deemed internment camps. Now, perhaps their only connection to the past is being seen so trivial that it can be used to fire up a crowd at a basketball game. So,
do you think Port Neches Groves has a casino at the stadium, the reservation? Do they have a casino there?
I do not think they have a casino there.
Wouldn't it be perfect, though, if they did?
Well, that would be a real thumb in the eye.
Maybe just some slot machines over by the concession stand.
I have a lot of funny jokes I could say, but I'm afraid of the repercussions. But
maybe the track around the field is a horse racing track.
They have those at casinos?
Yeah, you ever been to Delta Downs?
No.
It's a bunch of slot machines and a horse racing track.
I've been to Delta Airlines. There wasn't anything there. Just a plane or two. Okay.
Move on.
So, since I'm fairly sure that if you're listening to this, you can totally get the PNG side of it, because I would think that most people I know that live around here are probably on the PNG side. Once again, I'm not saying I'm taking a side, but you can kind of form your own thoughts on that. I don't really think you need help. But I want to put out a hypothetical, and I want you guys to listen to it and kind of gauge your reaction as you're hearing what I'm saying. So, here's the hypothetical. Remember, this is made up. This isn't real. This is something I made up. Okay. You're about to make an awesome poster board sign saying "Scalp 'em Indians" for the next big game against Nederland. Got your post board out. You go to look for your markers. You are out of markers. But you want some new markers. You want some really, really good markers. So you go to the internet and you search for markers. Well, you accidentally type it wrong and you type it Markle, M-A-R-K-L-E. And it pops up a little link to a high school in Markle, California, and it says, Markle Martyrs advance to the state finals. And it's got a little picture of a kid next to it with crosses painted on his cheeks, wearing what looks like plastic crown of thorns on his head. And he looks like he's cheering on a football team. So you think, what in the hell is this? So you go down the rabbit hole a little bit. Well, then you find Markle High School became the Martyrs in the 1950s, and they got glowing endorsements from several church leaders. The church leaders thought that the positive Christian imagery would be good for the school and the church, and then you go deeper down the rabbit hole. Here's where it gets kind of interesting. So you find a promotional video for Markle's football program. You can't help but click on it, and each football, and it's like a kind of a highlight video, but it shows you the beginning of the game. So each football game is preceded by all the stadium lights being turned off, a drill team they call the Apostles lighting up large torches. The torches are aligned parallel on the field, leading from the sideline to the center of the field. Dramatic music plays from the band as a very popular high school boy begins walking from the sideline toward the center. He's walking between the torch lights, wearing only a loincloth, but you can see his Under Armour boxer jock sticking out the bottom just a little bit. On his head, he has an oversized crown of real thorns. You even look closely to see if he's bleeding, but thankfully he's not. On his shoulder, he carries a very large cross. Slowly, he makes his way to the middle of the field and plants the cross in the ground. There's obviously some kind of contraption that's there so that it sticks upright so it doesn't take too long. The cross is now erect, and one of the torchbearers puts his torch down and hoists the loincloth child onto the cross. There's a small footrest he can stand on, and he stands up straight on the cross, and he spreads his arms to match the boards. The torchbearer retrieves his cross again and stands at attention. The crowd has seen this hundreds of times, and without prompting, in a single voice, they yell, "We are Markle, we are Markle. We put it all on the line to win every time. Go Martyrs." The lights come on, the torches get extinguished, and the team with the loincloth dismounts the cross. He and the torchbearers jog off the field to wild applause and whistles from the crowd. An assistant wearing a shirt that says, "Crucify them," retrieves the cross and drags it off the field. As the game's played, the Dancing Magdalene cheer squad fires up the crowd by throwing plastic crosses to the people. Fans are wearing plastic crowns of thorns, eating flatbread pizza made to look like unleavened bread, and drinking out of purple plastic cups made to look like wine glasses. The camera work is flawless and the graphics are slick, and the video ends with the message, "Martyr Football 2022, it's worth the sacrifice."
I'm sold.
Now,
I'm ready to kick somebody's ass.
for normal,
what a show.
Well, for the normal people, all that was made up, I promise. But I want you to think about how that made you feel, especially if you're a Christian. You might have felt nothing, or you might have been a little upset. I think if you were upset, you probably started coming up with dozens of reasons why that situation is completely different from the one in Port Neches. That's your inner defense attorney, and that's okay. Because remember what I said at the first of this. Our intuitions come first, and then our reasoning comes second. That's normal. That's natural.
I'm ready to run through a brick wall for Jesus to win a football game right now. I'm fired up.
But those situations are obviously different. Now, how different, though? I'm not really sure. I mean that sincerely. I don't know how different that is. I've never been a Native American who believed in any sort of Native American spiritualism. I used to be a Christian, and that probably would have upset me when I was a Christian, especially when I was a teenager. But my whole point in this whole thing, and I'll be done, I promise, is there's no right and wrong answer. Both sides have compelling evolutionary and even chemical reasons why they believe the way they do. And this is what I think, and this is what you can take away from if you ever want to listen to me. I think we need to adopt a special category for things specifically like this. And the category should be called, "We see this differently, and that's okay." That's the category. We see this differently, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that one side has to suddenly feel that things are fair, that there's no harm done, that no oppression's happening, that we haven't been fundamentally wrong. But we at least, in most situations, can understand that it's not the other party's intention. That's the word I really want to harp on, intention, to wrong us or hurt us. It's just recognizing that something that someone else is doing sucks from our perspective. And we might try to change it, but changing it does not have to be a prerequisite to finding other things that we can all get behind. So just because you disagree with somebody about the PMG Indian or abortion does not mean that person you can't agree on something else.
Yeah.
We get so deep into these things that to me are a distraction that we kind of lose focus of all the important stuff.
Yeah.
And that is my perspective.
Well, also with that in mind, even in this what they call participation trophy era, which I talked to you about earlier, I sent you about earlier.
Yeah.
In this era of participation trophy, which is whatever it is, we still have to have a winner and a loser. The Native American tribe that doesn't like the name being Indians wants that to be the loser, wants those people to be the loser now. You need to lose your name. We need to win the thing by you losing your name. There is no, well, we're all just going to be happy with it. There's not. It has to be a winner and a loser.
No, and I guess my whole thing is we don't have to get to a point where everyone's happy and everyone agrees. We can say, if I were writing a press statement for either of these places and I thought it would be, to me, the most helpful thing, if I were a Port Neches Groves administrator and I wanted to keep the name, what I would say is, I understand your feelings and that this offends you. I totally get that this offends you. However, we're not going to change our name because it is extremely important to us, the name and the logo. We would love to work with you on this and come to a compromise, but we don't want to change it. We don't like that you're offended. It's not our intention to hurt you, but the situation is what it is. If I were Cherokee Nation people, that one's a little bit harder to me. But I think you could say, if you wanted to be, I guess, a person to say not all people are bad, you could say poor nature's grows. This really does hurt us. We know you don't understand, or we know that you can't see it from our perspective. You can't walk around in our shoes, but we know you're probably not bad people. However, we want this to be changed. It is something that's very important to us, and we hope you consider it in the future. That's it.
Here's a question I have, and maybe you can cut this out, edit this out.
Maybe.
Would it be a different feeling if it wasn't 99% white people doing it?
I don't think we have to cut that out. I mean, I think that's a legitimate question. Do you want my opinion on that?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I just think would it be different if, say, it was some inner city Chicago school or something that was 99% minority? Would there be as much upheaval about it?
I think we could. I mean, I'll go ahead and answer it like this. Let's say a Chicago minority school that's
or Houston, whatever, somewhere around here, whatever.
A school that's that's mostly black.
Majority minority, yeah.
I don't think it would be different because the Washington Redskins football team, I know that their owner's a white guy, but the people wearing the helmet and everything else are not white people. I truly do think that it is. I really do think it's the symbols more than anything else. That's me. That's
before you. I will say the term Redskin is an offensive term. Indian is just what they were called for hundreds of years. Redskin's offensive. Also, this is what I was going to talk about later. Washington Redskin. That's just a professional football team. It's not tied to people's identity like their high school.
Oh, you're right. You're totally right.
And think about a name change as a professional team. That's a chance to make more money and market. You get to market new products and make a new thing. High schools can't really market new products and make money off of it.
I was answering the question of, do I think it would be different depending on the race of the people wearing the headdresses and stuff? I don't really think so. I honestly think that the big deal is the people, I mean, think about.
What if it was a 95% Native American team?
I think that would be okay.
Okay.
Even if they were even if they were doing the dances and stuff wrong,
yeah,
I still think they wouldn't say a word about that. No.
What if the main dancer, the guy that wears the headdress and paints himself and does all the dancing, what if that was a white guy, but the rest of them were all Native American? He just happened to be the one guy that won the competition to be the dancer.
Yeah, I think that'd be okay.
Okay.
I'm just shooting the head now.
I am too. I'm just throwing questions out.
Like I said, I truly do see both sides of it. I'm not. I get it. I totally get it. I am not a person who gets offended by things. I don't care. But if you're a Christian though, and you listen to the story I told, really ask yourself, would I be offended by that?
You saw my reaction.
Well, you're not a Christian though. Yeah, so I'm imagining what the normal reaction would be, and maybe I'm projecting here, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe people are a lot more loose with that than I thought. But I think most people, if they were at that event, would be like, "What is this?
Yeah,
that's not what this is all for," So, and I think the excuse of, "Well, we've been doing it forever," isn't great, only because, well.
We got a letter in the mail that said we could do it.
Just because you've been doing something that people don't like for a long time doesn't really make it good. Then again, I'm not really saying it's wrong. Like I said, I think those people love their town, and I think they have really great intentions. So it is what it is. If y'all want to hear Walt, I have a text message from Walt. We'll let Walt chime in on this.
Walt's chiming in. You want me to read it as Walt, or do you not want me to touch your phone, your bifold phone?
Don't go too far into my phone.
No, you read it. Go ahead.
Okay. I asked Walt, I said we were going to talk about this topic tonight, and I asked him if he had any thoughts. Walt said, it's interesting to me. What's interesting to me is I know one Indian, I think he meant, it says spirit. I don't think he really knows an Indian spirit, but he knows someone who's Native American, I think, that went to PNG. he said he always thought it was cool and kind of like honoring his culture. So my question is, who's right? The Native American who is offended, or the one who thinks it's flattering? But in general, I think it's stupid. It's clearly not meant to be racist, and it doesn't make the world a better place either way. I like the last part. It doesn't make the world a better place either way.
Here's my thing. If you grow up in that system, that school district, and you are Native American, you're the only Native American, you get kind of indoctrinated into things of, hey, this is cool. You don't understand. Everybody else is enjoying it. I'm going to enjoy it too.
Right.
You don't understand those things until you get out of school. Like when I went to school with some people in high school, they were not racist at all. In school, the whole time I knew them, they were not racist people. A few years later, I talked to them, and boy, they're throwing around racist terms
high school,
pretty heavily. So it's a learned thing. It's not something that everything we do is a learned trait. It's not. Because when you look at kids and the little kids are playing with all races, doing whatever, they're having a good time. And then when they get older, boy, they'll change their mind about things. So
they will, and I intentionally didn't use the word race or racism when we were talking about it, because I don't think at all that what PNG people are doing is racist.
0%. 0%
That
racist.
is not, like, there has to be some sort of intention to denigrate people, and I think most of the PNG people I know in their heart of hearts think that they are honoring that culture.
I believe
and
it
once
too.
again, I'm not judging. Maybe you are. I'm not an Indian, so I
But
don't.
it could be that indoctrination of, this is what we're doing, this, we're honoring it, and everybody else on the outside sees it as, that's not honoring,
But,
that's being
people
a bad person.
people get so far away from what people are intending to do. It's just like, come on, like, at some level, like I said, we can all agree to disagree, but if someone's not intending you harm or intending to do something, most of the time, I say most of the time, they're not trying to be an asshole. I mean, they're just trying to do what they think's right.
Because why would you want your mascot that you love and do everything for, why would you want that to be some kind of negative thing? You want it to be powerful and proud.
Right.
They don't want to be like, come out and be the, we're this cartoon character of a
and then on the other side, those people are saying, we don't want to be a mascot.
Yeah, exactly. There are two sides to each coin.
There is. But I hope you guys kind of got something. Oh, go ahead, Troy.
I
you
have
have
a scenario.
Okay,
I'm gonna go with a real life scenario and then a hypothetical scenario. So we'll start with the hypothetical first, maybe a couple of them. And we went to Vidor High School, Vidor Pirates.
We did go to Vidor High School.
And my whole life, all I wanted to be was a Vidor Pirate football player. That's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be out there on Friday nights playing for the Vidor Pirates. My whole life revolved around that. I wanted to be Mr. Vidor Pirate. I wanted to do everything. My whole life was that. So if someone would have told me in high school, we're changing the name from Vidor Pirates, I would have been like, no.
I would too. I would have thought that too.
No, because pirates are known for raping and pillaging and killing. They're terrible people. We can't have that. We need to be something different. We're going to change to the Vidor whatever. It doesn't matter what it is.
Commanders.
Whatever. The Crackers, whatever. And I'll talk about that later too. So whatever. Right now, I look back on it and be like, okay, whatever. They can be whatever. Because maybe that's an opportunity to grow as a community, as a team. You can maybe help yourself grow to other communities. Look, we're changing our thing, whatever. So I wouldn't care.
Yeah.
I grew up in that, and that's all I wanted to be was that. My whole life was being a Vidor Pirate. And now I'm at the point to where I don't care. I love that school, all the people there. Some of the people that I was there with still are there. And I'm proud of it. I'm proud that I got to play for them, and I say that I'm from there, and I'm proud of it. But I would not care if they got changed to whatever. The Spiders, the whatever. Anything.
Vidor Spiders?
Whatever. That is actually pretty cool.
That is kind of cool.
But anyway, so moving on to, say, I've always heard this, well, what if we name some team the Caucasians or the Crackers? To me, I'm not offended because I have not been oppressed in my lifetime because of my well, I'll get to that in a minute too. But I've not been oppressed as a white man. I've not been oppressed in my life because of my skin color. So to me, that's pretty cool. I would actually buy whatever. That may be my favorite team.
Cracker
The
paraphernalia.
Caucasians or
Yeah.
whatever. That's pretty funny to me. It's actually
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
I would not be offended by that because I just don't get offended easily anyway. But I don't think calling a team the white guys or the crackers or the honkies or whatever you call white people, I don't. It would be cool to me. That's fine. Whatever. Because think of Patriots, Raiders, Pirates. Most of those are white people anyway. That's what they are. I mean,
Right.
and I don't find that offensive. So I'll go back to not being oppressed. Like in my life as working or going to school or whatever, I've never been oppressed. I don't understand that. People that have been oppressed for being white, black, Asian, Indian, whatever. I don't understand that because I've never been oppressed. So their situation is totally different from mine.
Right.
So I don't understand what they go through every day, having to live their life every day. I don't understand that. But as a football player and a sprinter playing in sports, as the short little white guy over there, I've been oppressed in sports. I went and played in college, and I was just that short little white guy.
Right.
And you know what I did? I just went out there and competed and did the best I could and showed them that I was not just this short little white guy.
Right.
That's how I did it. I didn't get pissed off and mad because people thought called me white guy or little kid over there, whatever. I went out there and proved that I was not that. I was better than that. I was just as good as anybody else.
Right.
So there's a difference of being offended and proving a point or doing something about it. I've always had this analogy. Kenny Croak told me this analogy long ago. His analogy was you can line up some guys in front of you, say they're football players, and you've got a line that's their back is to you and they've got a line in front of them. You kick each one of them in the butt. You kick one of them in the butt, that first guy may get fired up and fire off and hit the next guy in front of him. Like he's going to get that fires him up. The guy next to him, you kick him in the butt, he may turn around and get mad at you and hit you. The next guy you may kick him in the butt and that may just kill him emotionally, and he may just stop and be done and quit. So everybody reacts different to situations. Some people get offended by everything. Some people don't. Some people take advantage of situations. Some people use it as motivation. So I don't think it's not an entire class of people. It's a few people that get either offended or mad or excited or use it as motivation. And it's who do we cater to? Do you cater to the few, the loudest voices? Modern day society, yes, we cater to the loudest voices that are and usually the loudest voices are the lowest numbers and what I've noticed.
Yeah.
So we cater to those. So how do you react to a situation? Do you just say whatever and move about your day, or do you say this is the topic that I'm mad about and I'm gonna go in on it?
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and I think you'd agree with me. Being treated differently in a sport at this time, whatever time, it sucks. But I think it is a little different than being a product of people who've been generationally treated poorly. You know what I mean? Like,
think about us as Vidorians. How many times have we just been thought of to be racist just because we're from Vidor?
Yeah, but there was never a colored and a white water fountain I had to deal with.
No, you're right. That's what I'm saying. That's why I don't understand what actual minority and people that are oppressed have to go through. I've never had to go through that.
So
but how many times have we been called racist just because I said I was from Vidor?
Yeah, a bunch.
And
it's unfair.
When I went to college, we're at I'm in the wide receiver group meeting, and we're all talking about where we're from, and I said from Vidor, Texas, and the Juan Bedoya, the Mexican guy sitting next to me, got up and moved seats.
Right.
Just because I said I was from Vidor.
No, it's people do
he ended up becoming one of my good friends because he realized that's not true. But
right, and I mean it's just all the more you can't prejudge people, But I think that when people get their identity really stuck in their hometown, it's not the best thing. Sorry, PNG people. But one of the things I tell my son periodically is I'm like, dude, I know you like school and I know whatever, but you're not like a Lumberton Raider first. You're you, and you're the values that you have.
Yes.
And if your school ever changed, I don't tell them this all the time, but my thought on that is, if your school changes names, it shouldn't be as important to you as it would have been important to me, because that shit didn't matter at all.
Yeah.
It didn't matter what that high school team. You know what mattered? I liked my teammates. I liked my friends. I liked some of my teachers. I liked the experience. I mean, like all those things. Like you could have called. Like I'll even get to this. This year Russia couldn't compete in the Olympics as Russia.
Yeah.
It'd be the ROC.
Yeah.
I think that bound them together tighter than anything, because I think they saw that as. Remember that loyalty, betrayal, all the oppression, liberty? They saw that as the West trying to hold them down. They were like, you know what? You call us wherever you want. We're going to come out here and compete.
But that happened 4 years ago. They had to compete as ROC.
Well, yeah, but
But they didn't do anything then.
They didn't. I don't know. I'm talking about. I watched them with the Olympics and the Winter Olympics, and they looked like they were serious, and they looked almost proud to be what they would call scapegoats, whatever. And I almost think it was counterproductive to make them compete as the ROC instead of just outright banning them, because when you kind of attack a group of people, man, they get groupish. And I guess that's my whole thing with the P&G thing. It to me is not a black and white issue. It's way gray, and I think they're really good people with good intentions on both sides.
And what I think of it from the Port Neches Grove side, think about how you could rally around a name change. Think of that. These two communities come together, could rally around a name change. Pick a name that fits your community. It could be the plant workers or whatever, because all the fucking refineries that are 5 feet from your stadium that could blow up, which blew up recently.
They could be no, that's insensitive. I'm going to say it. The P&G explosions.
Yes, see? Doesn't that hurt? Doesn't that hurt? See? I mean, think about it. Think of something that you could do to rally around your community.
For this to be right, it would have to be the Cherokee Nation changing their names to the Explosions. And they would walk around with hard hats and like Nomex.
And burn marks and shit.
Nobody actually got hurt, right?
I don't know. I know people got woke up in the middle of the night.
That kind of hurts.
That's about it.
I don't like
but
that.
No, I mean, think about it. Think about what you could do as two communities rallying around each other. We're gonna come up with a name together. This name was came up with 100 years ago before we were born. Think about coming up together, creating a name together, something you can all rally around. You can be whatever you want to be, as long as it's not whatever, as long as it has nothing to do with Native Americans.
Might get worse.
Yeah, it could. But think about what you could do. You could come together and create something that everyone can understand and the whole world can see that you've done it.
Yeah.
Because this is now a world story.
Yeah, that's, I guess my hope for the world progressing forward is that we care a little bit less about what names we are and kind of more about what we do. It's just not that important to me. However, I know that it's important to feel connected to the community, and if that's something you like, more power to you. I don't have anything else on this particular topic. Do you?
No, I think this is a good topic because it's a very topical thing right now because, it is funny that Disney got all upset about it. They've been doing this for 8 straight years. The Disney thing is just funny to me.
Yeah, that's dumb.
Yeah.
No, and my whole point in all this was I just kind of wanted to explain why, or help explain why people may feel the way they feel, and let you guys know any way you feel about it, it's okay. You all have really good points, and you're probably fine people.
I have no problem with the people of those towns having pride in that name because they've all grown up through it. They treat it as an honor thing, and I understand that. I also understand someone saying, you're making fun of us, it's a caricature, it's not a real thing, it's not accurate,
Right.
It's not appropriate. Change it. I can see both sides, and I agree with both sides. I really do.
I get it. It's just not. It's not something. And I wanted to talk about it because it's not something that I'm necessarily passionate about in the debate.
Yeah.
But I find it very interesting that both sides of it have similar moral foundations of why they would.
Yeah.
care. That's interesting to me.
I mean, because you think about it, why would we change what we have? Well, look at schools like like Port Arthur, Lincoln, and Thomas Jefferson, and Stephen F. Austin. They're gone. They're not even schools anymore.
No.
It's all one high school now. Beaumont Central and Lausanne, they're now Beaumont United. They changed their entire school. All of these places have changed their entire school. Beaumont Westbrook's only been around since like '82 because there was Forest Park and South Park and whatever, Beaumont High, all these schools. French, things change. Charlton Pollard, all these things change. You can change your name.
It's really okay. But I think in the next segment, we're going to talk about what people really tune in for. That was the review of Week 3.
2 and 3.
2 and 3. Oh, man, a double week review.
We do 2 weeks at a time.
Oh, good Lord. All right. Well, stick around, and we will enter.
52 minutes.
I know, and we talked the whole time.
We're like adults or something.
Yeah, we got it going. Well, stick around, and we will talk about the ongoings of the league. Welcome back from the longest segment we've ever had.
That was and that had no special guests. That had no Bo Onion Titman.
No, and those are usually the best.
And had no sponsors.
Hang on, I have Bo Onion here for his high school mascot.
God damn it!
I like the Royal Mongooses. Royal Mongooses.
The mongoose.
Mongoose! Get out of here. That's enough of that. He shot him in his ass and his butt. Sorry. Okay, I promise flag football stuff.
Rest in peace, mongoose.
Troy, they had to change it because reasons I won't get into. Okay, sorry. Go ahead. Flag football stuff.
All right, so we're going to go over weeks 2 and 3 from this last 2 weeks of the season. So week 2 started off with the Expendables in the upper division play. This is an intra-division week.
Interdivisional week. Yeah, that week wasn't great. But go ahead.
Expendables playing the Herd, and the Herd in the lower division got the win by forfeit due to the Expendables not having enough to show for the game. And then in the little scrimmage game, the Herd still won that one as well.
Yeah, I played on both teams.
Yes.
Like a bisexual.
So the Herd got a win. The only lower division team to get a win this week. The Jack Boys played the Valve next. Jack Boys won 50-12.
Yeah,
that goes about as what it sounds like.
Yeah.
The next game was the Hurricanes versus Shiesty Season, and the Hurricanes won 50-0. Once again, sounds like it sounds.
Yeah, it does.
And then the 1 p.m. game was the Inglorious Bastards against Exclusive. Exclusive won 36-8.
And you know, the Bastards, because I'm going to shorten it to that. The Bastards.
I Bastards.
I Bastards. I thought that they had a shot in that game. But man, Exclusive has a lot better team than I thought they had.
Yes.
Like they kind of turned it on in the second half.
Yeah, and they keep adding more and more players as the season goes on.
Man, they have kind of.
It's like a combination of showstoppers, Spartans.
They've got a lot of good pieces. Like Jason Williams is good, and they were good.
Yeah. So that was week 2. Let's move to week 3. Back to playing within your division. Exclusive played Expendables. First game, Exclusive won 21-13. So that's tough for the Expendables because
and that was a game of dueling second string or third string quarterbacks.
Really was,
because Williams played quarterback for Exclusive and DMAC played quarterback for Expendables. I thought they both did really well. It was a great, fun to watch game. Exclusive has so much talent right now.
Yeah, that was. I thought it was a good game because each team had to play basically shorthanded.
Yeah, they did,
and were able to make plays. Jason Williamson made enough plays at quarterback. It was a close game.
This last week was really good.
The best week of games, The next game was Shiesty Season versus the Valve, and Shiesty Season won 30-12. At first, it was a game where I didn't know if anyone was going to score.
Yeah, it was interesting. I watched first half on YouTube, so I wasn't there. But yeah, it was like, what's going to happen? Like, who's going to do this?
Yeah.
And then Shiesty Season, I just think, has some pretty good athletes.
They've got a pretty solid team, I think. I mean,
they're just new. They're brand new. Yeah.
They've put a team. You put this team together, and they're.
I just invited people, and I built it, and they came.
Yeah. Now this is a free agency team. A team, guys that if you come across this and you want to play, but you don't have a team, you can be on a team. You can.
Yeah.
We can put you on a team or get you make a free agent team for you. So that's how that works. So
they're
1-2 on the season.
Well,
now,
I was happy for them.
Yeah. The next game was another game of backup quarterbacks. It was Jack Boys versus the Hurricanes.
Yeah, Jack Boys didn't have TT, and the Hurricanes didn't have JC, so
it came down to a 2-point conversion. The Hurricanes went for 2 to win the game instead of going for 1 to tie it. And DT got his flag pulled at the goal line. I mean, as close as it could possibly be.
Yeah.
And I watched the video. I watched that play several times. And I still believe that was the correct call. Sean called a touchdown first because he did not see the flag pull. On further review, talking with Rob on the other side, Rob said he got pulled short. I think it was the correct call.
And Rob had a good angle. Rob was on the goal line.
Yeah.
And I watched it too, and I agree with you. However, if I can reel back to our first segment, if you're a Hurricanes person, I guarantee you right now your inner defense attorney is going, no way, watch that video.
Yeah.
And you'll see what you want to see.
And me watching it, it looks like he was short. I thought it was a good pull. I mean, from the whole run, LeBreeze chasing him down, like he's going to get him. And LeBreeze swipes and misses his flag. Yep. DT, I think, spins, and the next guy misses him, and then all of a sudden one guy dives.
Ajax missed his flag. Because I thought, when I was watching the video, I thought, I guess that's the guy that gets the flag.
Yeah, and I think it was Devontae that dove and pulled his flag.
It was.
Right before the goal line. What a play. I mean, and Sean calls touchdown, and everyone's running off like it's over, but they talked about it. And
hey, look, Jack Boys folk, you guys mess with Devontae all the time.
Yep.
Make fun of him. He won that game.
Y'all even tell us that we hoe you all the time. And look at that. You got the win.
But Devontae won that game.
Yeah, so Jack Boys win 27-26. The last game was the Herd against the Inglorious Bastards. Herd wins 13-6, but honestly, it did not feel that close.
No.
Even down to the end when it was like there was a play where I catch a ball at the goal line and kick over the pylon and get called out at the 2-yard line. So I don't know. And then we get down inside the 5 again. We dropped a couple of balls inside the end zone, drew an interception. So it was really like a 28-6 game, which ended up only being 13-6. So I'm saying our defense played really well.
Yeah.
The Inglorious Bastards goal line defense played really well.
Man, yeah, because even if you take out that play, they were solid.
We could not score inside the 5-yard line, so their defense in the goal line was really good. They had a couple of interceptions, but I thought our defense with our young guys that are learning, they're kids and they're still learning, and they're getting better every week. It showed how much better the Herd defense is compared to the Herd defense in past years, because now these kids really run their asses off and really good.
And on the iBastard side, man, their rush was intense.
They had a good rush
because they were rushing Lucas, our quarterback, is fast and Lucas is quick, and they were on him so fast.
Yeah,
those guys.
Those two guys did a really good. They were hard to block.
Great.
I mean, even when I was blocking, they still were pulling flag. It was a good. They had a good rush.
But I thought on our side on defense, not to pump you up too much, but I thought you rushing the quarterback helped a lot. You were on Connor the whole time.
I will not give away my secret to what I was doing in the second half, but he was not able to move and get the ball out as quick later in the second half.
I'll give away my secret to what I was doing in the second half. I didn't play.
It's a good secret.
So
that's the best for the Herd when you're not playing. We're much better when you're not playing.
But I know they're a good team though. I mean, they're not.
Gonzaga just got beat by Arkansas in the Sweet 16. Gonzaga was number 1.
Oh, well.
They were the overall number 1 seed. Got beat by the Arkansas Razorbacks. Pig Suey.
Big Suey. Well, I enjoyed that game. I thought it was fun. I still think that the I Bastards are a good team, and I think they'll get better. I just don't think they know each other very well.
They are as good, possibly better than us.
I think they could beat us.
They've got a very good quarterback. They've got a good rush. They need some outside receiver help. They've got a few good slot guys. Blake's really good at the swing. The other guy that was one of their rushers was a good swing guy.
I think Blake's getting used to that position.
Yeah.
And I think, man, that other guy they have, I don't even know his name. He's quick. He's good.
Yeah, he was
And they
good.
had this other dude that was playing inside receiver that was open
real
all
quick.
the
Yeah,
time.
but
Connor,
they need more threats on the outside to
Yeah.
open up that inside. They had no threat on the outside at all, so we were able to take that away from them really easy.
But they can be good. I think they're a good team. I think at
Yeah.
the end of the year, our team and their team will
make
be
the
the 1 and
playoffs,
2 in that division. But let's go through the standings real quick.
Okay, so now the standings. We'll start with the upper division. The upper division is in fourth place. You have the Expendables at 0-3. One of those is a forfeit loss, but
I think I put it as a loss because they ended up with 5 people.
that's right. Yeah, so it's still a loss. But
They ended up with 5
anyway,
people.
it's still a loss. So
They'll make the playoffs.
They're 0-3. Yeah, all the upper division teams still make the playoffs.
Correct.
In third place is Exclusive at 2-1. Second place is the Hurricanes at 2-1, and that's because of the points allowed and things
Right.
like that. And then first place is Jack Boys at 3-0. But the
There you go.
Hurricanes and Jack Boys
But
are
man,
1 inch away from being flip-flopped right
Don't
there.
be surprised if Exclusive steals a game from one of those teams.
I believe it. I believe it. The lower division. Fourth place is the Valve at 0-3. Third place is Shiesty Season at 1-2. Second place, Inglorious Bastards at 1-2, and then in first place is the Herd at 3-0. Now the top two teams from the lower division make the playoffs as well.
Right. Everybody's still got a chance,
Yeah.
even if you're 0-3. You have a chance to make playoffs in either division.
Next week is going to be another interdivision game matchup. So
Who is it? Go ahead.
Week 4 is going to be the Herd versus Exclusive. The Jack Boys versus Shiesty Season, Expendables versus the Valve. That's two 0-3 teams.
Yeah.
But one is obviously better than the other. But they're
Who
both
knows who's
0-3.
going to show up? Yeah.
Yeah, and then the last game is the Inglorious Bastards versus Hurricanes. That's going to be a good game. I think that game.
Now that's a good game.
That game and the Herd versus Exclusive will be the two best games of the day, I think.
Yeah, and the thing is, you guys in the lower division, look, you're playing everybody in the lower division twice and everybody in the other division once. So, learn from it when you play these really good teams. I know that it sucks to get beat by a lot, but those guys have a lot of experience, and you can learn a lot from playing them. You don't have to make the game so intense, especially if you. Look, let's be all real. Like, if you're the Valve playing the Jack Boys, that's a tough haul. So, kind of try to learn from what they're doing, and you can make your team better. Like, they really do know how to play the game well. So.
You can learn. You may be getting beat and not gaining any yards and having to punt every third play, but you can see how they do things and maybe learn a few things about play calling and get people
Spreading out
open.
the field, yeah.
Because just because you do call plays doesn't mean you're any good. It's just getting the ball to the right people at the right time. It's finding the right guy. It's not turning the ball over. It's pulling flags.
Again, having a quarterback.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So it's you can have the best play calls in the world, but if you can't execute them, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So,
I think I don't have anything else.
I don't either. I don't have a question this week.
Well, we did a good first segment though. That was a pretty good job. And if you didn't listen to it, if you're some kind of guy who wanted to fast forward, go listen to it. You'll learn something about stuff.
And if you don't learn something, you at least hear words from both of us.
Yeah, you'll hear 51 minutes of words.
52. It's 52 minutes.
Oh, 52 minutes.
That's a long segment.
Pretty good. I like
Ooh,
it.
man, I'm going to get bored listening to that.
We did a good job. I'm patting myself on the back. Usually I think we suck, but today we did just fine.
I thought so too. Hopefully next week we have another special guest.
I need to sign off the show. I need a new thing. I'm tired of the old one. What's something new I can say? I'm going to try one out this week.
Try something out.
Let's see. No, I don't got anything. Just like, I don't know, have a good day.
No, let's come up with something else. I'll try to come up with something if you come up with something.
Okay. Let's see. Michigan basketball is losing. That's it. Michigan basketball is losing.
They are losing.
All right.
I don't know if that's a good sign off. I would not go with that.
How about not who all wonder are wondering?
If you wonder, you're alone or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I want. We wish you all the success.
No, you already said
that's
we're
the
going
one
away
I used
from
to
it.
say.
Yeah.
You're right.
MikeSmithDirect.com.
2 turntables and a microphone.
That's not bad.
Okay.
A little Beck goes a long way.
2 turntables and a microphone.
I need to come up with with a cake lyric now.
Cake?
Yeah.
I don't know. He's racing. He's pacing. He's
He's plotting the
plotting
course.
the course. He's looking for a divorce.
Something from Comfort Eagle. I need a line
Yeah.
from Comfort Eagle.
We have these keychains that are something for sale. I don't know.
You should have said something first, so
I
I would have
should've.
thought of something.
Yeah.
You waited until the end of the show to say we need to change the end of the show.
I have mine. 2 turntables and a microphone.
No, okay, that's fine.
Bottles and cans, and just clap your hands.
Just clap your hands. Just clap your hands.
Okay. Is that it?
For now, I'll come up with
All
something.
right. Well, you guys have a good night. We hope to see you on Sunday. And if you have any comments about the Indian stuff, we would love to hear them. And we will interview anybody, anytime, as long as we're awake and sober. Well, as long as we're awake.
We're usually sometimes we're awake. Sometimes we're not sober, but we're sometimes awake.
Okay. Well, I'm going to need a good luck from you to face out this.
Can I end with one more hashtag don't?
Yeah, go ahead.
You got to lead me into it.
We wish you all the success.
Hashtag don't. And good luck.